all of this analysis is already in there, and you just, in some sense, select the patterns that you like, that you see being repeated here and there, because it's going to be repeated. All masterworks it's a repetition, because everybody is studying from the same real world, right? They're just modifying them. If it's going to be, let's say, a stylized work, it's going to be just modified. But if it's going to be a photorealistic work, it's going to be studied on real examples, and they're all going to be, the same. There's going to be patterns in there, and so you need to find those patterns, you need to select them, and you need to apply them to your work. There are, options with using reference. You can either study the real examples of whatever it is that you're doing, and then analyze that. Watch it, observe it, look at it for a long time, look for different things, different variety, different stages of degradation, of corrosion, of whatever it is, damage, burns, all of those things. You need to have a spectrum. You need to know whatever it is that you're working on. You need to have a spectrum for that, in terms of the kind of visual library that you're going to be developing. It's the pristine condition, and then the most ruined, the most damaged condition, and everything in between is going to be almost like a blend, right? There's going to be variety between them, and you will definitely find some reference for that as well. But in your mind, you will be able to tell almost like those intermediate stages between them. If you know what the point A is, which is the pristine, clean condition, and point B, which is the most ruined, the most damaged one, your mind, because the way the mind works is that it kind of predicts things, right? It will be able to predict what are the interstages that got this thing from point A to point B, right? So you need to be, that's one method of working, I guess, of texturing, or everything really when it comes to artistic endeavor, is that you do this kind of analysis on your own. You find the things, you analyze them, you gather as much references as possible, you look at as many things as possible. That's my path, I guess. For many years I was using that kind of a path, and I'm still doing that for my personal work now. There's another path which is a little bit in some sense more efficient, but it will probably depend on your mentality, because this path relies on other people, on other people's work. Meaning that instead of gathering those references on your own, right, creating the library, the visual library with points A and points B, the damaged and the clean, and etc., instead what you gather masterwork, and you study that. And the good thing about it, the reason why it's so efficient, is because people who made masterworks, they were doing that other process. They were the ones who gathered all those materials. They were the ones who studied what the point A is, what the point B is, right? They're the ones who understand all of that, and what they're producing as masterworks is the concentrate of that knowledge, of that analysis. So everything that they do is behind all of that is their analysis, right? It's their knowledge. It's the concentrate of whatever it is that they're making. And so if you're bringing back the idea of the finding reference for guns on ArtStation from master professionals, is that it's precisely for that. You're not looking for real guns, trying to find as many references for that and just analyzing that. You find just a few examples of guns made by a professional, like masters, and you studied that, because all of this analysis is already in there, and you just, in some sense, select the patterns that you like, that you see being repeated here and there, because it's going to be repeated. All masterworks it's a repetition, because everybody is studying from the same real world, right? They're just modifying them. If it's going to be, let's say, a stylized work, it's going to be just modified. But if it's going to be a photorealistic work, it's going to be studied on real examples, and they're all going to be, the same. There's going to be patterns in there, and so you need to find those patterns, you need to select them, and you need to apply them to your work. So that's how I think about it. There are just two ways of doing it. It depends on what you want. For me personally, I prefer both. I find satisfaction in studying things and analyzing things and trying to understand what's behind them and all of that. But at the same time, I always also use masterworks.